Hey folks, it's Jang here from UltimateRC.com with a review of the Exceed RC Dynamite from NitroRCX.com. This is the brushed edition. This is a 1/10 scale monster truck of sorts. It's based on actually a touring car platform, and they've made buggies off of this exact same platform. They just tend to change around some suspension components and change out the wheels and tires and the body and such. The wheels and tires, speaking of them, they are 2.8 inch with a very low profile tire on it. They do have foam inserts in them, but they're kind of stiff, and I don't know about that tread. I don't really think it's made for much other than good looks. Now, taking off the body, here's what you see. Like I said, it is based on a touring car chassis, so it'll kind of look familiar in the center. They did beef up the suspension a little bit. Here we've got 8 shocks in total. You've got progressive rate springs, aluminum caps on there. It's just a basic brushed motor system and speed control with a 2.4 gigahertz receiver. All the electronics on one side. On the other side, that's where the battery goes. They do include a battery with this set ready to run, but it's not much of a battery. Look at that, 1800 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride. Definitely not going to last you for very long on a single charge there, but it is included, like I said. Now what I like is what they did with the battery tray here. You saw those supports on the side. Those can actually be removed from the bottom with 4 screws, so you can put in a side-by-side pack, or if you have a cutoff, you can actually put in a lipo pack. On the back, again, 4 shocks. You've got actual real metal turnbuckles. You've got metal dog bones going out to steel stub axles. These bumpers, front and rear, are actually spring-loaded. That's an interesting little feature they added in there. And look at the flexibility of this plastic. That's pretty crazy. All of the parts just have a tremendous amount of flexibility to them. That's not play in the suspension there. That's the plastic parts themselves actually bending. It's kind of cheap, but there is a good thing about that. You know, soft parts don't break as easily. They just don't snap. And again, up front, turnbuckles, steel dog bones, and 4 shocks. Now this radio that they include with it is a 2.4 gigahertz set, and you may say, hey, that looks like a Urgel or a FSGT2. Well, it's not. It just looks like it. Here are the controls that are available. You've got your basic reversing switches and also dual rates for both channels. Like I said, it is not an FSGT2 though. It is a cheap external clone made with cheaper parts, and it uses only 4 AA's. Also included in the package is a wall charger for the included nickel metal hydride battery pack. Definitely nothing special there. Slow but effective. Alright, enough of me yapping. Let's see this thing drive. Alright, I was just kidding about it being enough of me yapping. I still got to talk about this thing, right? Top speed. According to my radar gun, as best as I could get it, it was about 21 miles per hour with a fully charged battery. Of course, with a nickel metal hydride in particular, the top speed is going to decrease as you go through the charge. But that is pretty decent speed. I mean, that's faster than a lot of the bigger name brands have for their entry-level, ready-to-run trucks, even in 2-wheel drive form, and even that cost more than this. So the speed is respectable for what you pay for, I believe, and it's definitely fast enough to have fun. The suspension is a little bit bouncy, but the big tires are able to get over some pretty decent terrain, and it's not too bad. Where I was really impressed was right here, actually running on a proper 1/10 scale racing track. Look at this thing get around it. It's able to clear all of the features that racing vehicles are supposed to be able to get over. It actually did better here than some of the other vehicles that I've tested before, again from larger name brands. The traction from those tires is not great, but it's not terrible either. Flight through the air is pretty controllable. It has a little bit of a tendency to nose down in the air, but just hold on the throttle a little bit and make sure you don't land with the throttle pin. That's always bad for drive lines no matter what, but it's very controllable. It has a lot of steering for a vehicle that has no center diff. I was definitely expecting a cheaper 4-wheel drive vehicle to have push. Most of them have push or understeer, but this one pretty much rotates when you want it to, although the steering servo itself is actually quite slow and not the most responsive thing. So if you're really trying to get the most precise driving out of it, you're going to have to actually start your turns a little bit earlier than you expect, but it still works out pretty well, as you can see. Now, what about durability? I put a bunch of packs through this vehicle, mostly 2S LiPos. Don't run a LiPo on this truck unless you have an external LiPo low voltage cutoff, of course. During my test very early on, I actually did have a breakage of a rear hub carrier under somewhat suspect circumstances. I've had just a couple of rollovers and one of them just snapped. I'm not sure exactly why it happened, or maybe it was actually being slowly weakened over time from a bunch of jumping that I was doing. But I did have one breakage. That's a $3.30 part for a pair of them. I have heard that that is a weak part on this vehicle. I'll actually cover more about that in my brushless edition review of this truck. But if you don't want to have that problem ever, you can get the upgrade versions, which are aluminum, but they're costly. They cost almost $30 for the pair. Plus you need to buy some extra hardware to make them work. That's the cost of about 10 pairs of plastic ones. I would just stick with the plastic ones because after I had that one breakage, I didn't have another breakage again, even when I was trying to break the darn vehicle, as you can see here. I was trying hard. I really wanted to break it. That was actually my goal at this point. Test the durability, see what will break. And with the brushed motor, you know, it just doesn't get up to that much speed and it doesn't have that much mass behind it. With all of those just so soft components, the really flexible plastic, it tends to absorb damage. It just absorbs the impact, the force, and you know, things give and they don't snap. Only after I went full speed with a 2S LiPo twice directly into a wall diagonally, so it hit the corner, that's when I finally broke one part, or at least I thought I broke a part. Nope, it just pulled a screw out of the steering knuckle. I was able to screw that right back in and it was able to continue driving for quite a number of more packs without any further breakages. All in all, for the price you pay for this thing, you know what, I think it's a pretty good deal. It's four-wheel drive, comes fully ready to run, about $110. I think it's a decent starting platform for someone who's not sure they want to stay in RC, you know, just kind of trying it out for the first time. You really don't want to put a lot of money into it, or if you're already into RC and you just want to have another vehicle to just mess around with, maybe use as a basis for a project, just don't think about putting a whole lot of brushless power through this thing. Be sure to wait for my brushless edition review where I didn't really have the same experience that I did with this thing. But if you're going to leave it fairly stock, maybe mess around with changing out the tires, put a different body on it, get a little bit of a different look, get some better traction, tune those shocks up a little bit with some thicker shock oil, you know, it's great for what it is. $109, got it from nitrorcx.com. You can also find it under different brand names. It's produced by Himoto and HSP and Red Cat, all have versions of this exact same thing under different names. Pretty decent value, I'd say. Pretty happy with this vehicle as it is. So I hope this was a useful overview for you. If you want to see more just raw driving footage of this vehicle, I've got plenty of it. I've got a few other videos up of me just driving this vehicle, not more review videos, just all the stuff that didn't make it into this video because I didn't want to make this one too long. That's all up on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/ultimatercnetwork. And if you want to see more videos, be sure to subscribe. And if you have questions about this vehicle or any others, be sure to post them up at the friendly forums at ultimaterc.com. I'll see you there, and I'll talk to you again soon.